Hey guys, so welcome to today's video. In our previous video, we were looking at CSS, used in text formatting. In today's video, we'll be looking at CSS Box Model. Okay, so you can just think about this as a box, like a model of a box, something like that. Sorry. Now the box has, an outer layer. Then it has, a content. Okay, so the outer layer could be represented as, the borders or something like the outer covering of the inner content, you see. Then we can also have, the inner lining of the box and the outer lining of the box. Then we can also have the background, like as in the color of the box itself and the color of the containing things inside the box. Okay, so it's just like that model like we are actually looking at in this video. Now let's look at the table of content. Okay, so what we'll be looking at will be the overview of the box model, then the breakdown of the box model, the background of elements, like as in the background parameter of element, or the background property, that's the CSS property of element. Then we can also have the different dimension values we can set for elements, as in margins and so on. We will look at that. Then we look at positioning and layout. Okay, so if we don't finish in this video, we look at it in the next video and the next one. Okay, so there's actually a picture of the box model. Now you can just look at this as a box, so there's actually a box. So the CSS box model hierarchy. Now it's in a form of hierarchy. Okay, so we call the outer layout or the outer part of, let's say, every element. So we have an element in HTML. Now the outer part of that element is called margin. So something like the area around the element is actually called margin. Then we can have the area occupied by the element on the document, let's say page. So if this is my, let's say this is my document. Now the area this actually covers, the one highlighted, is actually my background. Okay, then we can also change the color of that background, which is the area covered by the element. Then we can also add an image to, let's say, the background, so it will be on top. You can see background is coming before, background color is coming before the background image. So when you have a background color there and you have a background image also there, the background image will overshadow the background color. Then another thing we can also look at will be the padding. Now let's say I have this element, so something like this element. Now the padding is just the area between the content. So if I have overview of the box model, I can see that the padding will be the overview and the off, the space between the overview and the off. Another space between the off and the there is also a padding. So the padding is actually the area between the content, so the content itself. We can also say that it is the area between the content itself and the surrounding borders or the surrounding layout of, let's say, the main element. Okay, so this is how it's arranged. Now we have the margin, which is the outer one. Background color, this is the area where the element is actually covering. The background image is also, let's say, it's the area, but when you set an image, it actually overshadows the color. Then the padding is just the area around the content of, let's say, the element. Then we can have the border, so the surrounding lines or surrounding layout of the element. So if the overview of the box model is my element, then this is like for the rectangular line surrounding is my border. Okay, so then you can have the content, which is the overview of the box model. Okay, so it's simply like that. So it's something like that. Now that's the box model. So it's arranged in a hierarchy. Now if you place something before or after something, like, you need to know the hierarchy so that when you're arranging your styling, you actually take care of those things. Okay, so we look at that. Now let's see. So the breakdown of the overview, the margin is the outer body of the container. It has four key directions, which is the top, the right, bottom, and the left. Okay, so if I take the breakdown of the overview as my element, let's say the area around it, that's what we mean. So it means that this area, so this area will represent the top area. So that's why we said four key direction, top direction. We can also have the right direction, you see. So the right direction will be the area at the right side. So if I take this, the right side area here will be my let's say the right side. Then the bottom will be here and the left will be there. Then the background color will be the color which is like the area of the color or the color of the area covered by the element. So if this is my element, the area covered by element, so the color of this area is actually the background color. Then the background image is the image, let's say of the area which the element is covering. So it is just above the background color. So when you set a background color as well as a background image, the background image will be on top of the background color. Then we can see that border is the line surrounding the element. So we can have a rectangle here surrounding the element. So that's the border. Then you can have padding. Now padding is just the space between the border and the content. So maybe I have the border here and the content here, so the space between them or the space between the content itself is actually padded. We can have top padding, so top padding will be the space here to the border, then the right padding will be the space here to the border here, then another one will be bottom, so from here to here, sorry, from here to here, then another one from here to here, which is the left. Okay, so that's the breakdown of the overview. Now, when we are talking about background of elements, that's the area which the element is covering. We can look at the background image. That's the image placed as the background. So when I want to place an image on the area which my element is covering, I just put, let's say, like I set an image to the background image. Then you can have background color, which is the color of the background. Then another one we can also look at will be the background repeat. So we are repeating the background. So maybe you want to repeat the background twice, thrice or something, you use background repeat. Then we can also position the background to the left, to the center, right, top or bottom. Okay. So let's see how we can apply these stuffs. Okay. So I'll just go to my VS Code and start coding the thing. Okay, so let's say I have a p tag here. Now this p tag is actually an element. So the first thing we can look at will be, okay, I have the style sheet added, so I can open it and start working on it. So okay, now okay, this is the color blue. Okay, now what I will do is I'll just set one. We talked about margin first, so the area around it. So let's say I want to give the area around it from the top, like I want to set an area from the top to, let's say, the top of the document to that element, like set a particular or specified area. I just give it a number. Now there are two ways to do that. You can just set margin top, so something like you write margin top like this. So margin top as a property, then you pass a value. Now the value can be four specific dimensions. I'll start with pixels first. Okay, so pixels is static, so no matter what, when you resize your page or when you optimize the page, maybe on the phone or on the laptop or on a tablet, is still the same dimension. Okay, so let's say I give it 60 pixels. So margin, what I'm saying is margin top 60 pixels. Okay, so first let me first remove it, then run the code and see the initial thing I want to, let's say, run before I go to. So I can go to downloads, document, sorry, HTML projects, hello world. Okay, it's not this one. Okay, I think it's somewhere else. No, let me check my VS Code. Hello world.html. Okay, it's a document and Okay, I'll go to my documents. Okay, there's it. Now when I, let's say, open my browser and look at this, I think it's loading. Okay, so I want you guys to see the initial view before we actually, let's say, do margin. So you can see that's actually what, let's say, something on the top here. So let's say we want to specify a specific area from the top. We can do a margin, so maybe to push it down or to push it up. So what I'll do is I'll go to VS Code, go to my style.css, add a margin there. Now I have a margin of 4060. So I can go to my browser, then reload. Now you can see this, but let me reload. Okay, nothing. So let's try and change the thing and see if it works. So I'll go to my VS Code and set the margin top to somewhere of, that's somewhere 200 pixels. Okay, so let's see. Reload. So you can see it moved. Now the 60 pixels meant that where the particular element is 60 pixels. So when I pushed it down to 200 pixels, it came to this place, which is 200 pixels. That's what we want to say. So it's, if you want to push something down or something to the top, you cannot actually have a minus value. So maybe the text is here and you want to set a minus value so that it can go to the top. You can set it there. So minus 20 pixels. So something like this will push your text down using the margin. So the area around it is the margin. You can also push from the left hand side. So I can go here. Now instead of top, I'll do left here to push it to the left hand side. Okay, so I'll go here, then reload. So you can see it came to the top since we don't have any margin. Then it's pushed to the right. So you can see this side and this side is unequal. That's what we mean. Okay, so we can actually do margin bottom and margin right. So I'll leave it for you guys to actually work on. Then what we can look at will be, let's say, the background. Okay, so let's say I have, let me see if it's the background. Okay, so breakdown background. Okay, background color. Now let's say I want to specify a particular background for color for my element. I go to VS Code. Now what I can do is background. So VS Code gave me it, and I can specify something like brown here. So background color brown, background color brown. Then I can go to my browser, then load. You can see the background has changed to brown. So that's what we mean by background color. Okay, so I can, let's say, remove this, the margin there. Now the margin could be applied in two ways. Either you can use just a single line to actually do that for you. So instead of margin left, I can just do this. Now I just do margin, but the first value, like it contains four values. The first value will be top, like going clockwise, or yeah, going clockwise from the top to the right, to the bottom, to the left. You see, so the first value, so something like if I do 100 pixels here, then right will come to right. I'll do 40 pixels. Then bottom I'll do let's say 60 pixels. Then right left I'll do 200 pixels. You see, so it's four dimensions. So top is 100. Now bottom is also the right is 40, the bottom is 60, and the left is 200. So that's a way to actually apply the margin just on a single line. So just on a single line. Okay, so you can work on that one too. So I have my background image, background color configured nicely. Okay, what can I do again? So I can go here. Okay guys, so to add the image is very simple. What we need to do is you go here, background image, then you set the URL. Okay, so you just use the URL parameter to actually pass the value. So URL, then the link or the file name. Okay, so maybe our file name is bear. Okay, should be good to bear.png. Okay, then I'll go to my Google Chrome and run it again. Okay, so you can see it's working now. So yeah, so it's happening. So you can see there are a lot of bear here because the length or the width is actually not enough to actually show just once. Okay, so it had to repeat itself. Okay, so that's where the background repeat comes in. So we can go here. Now in here we just specify the background repeat here. So you can specify that no repeat should happen. So I can go to my VS Code, then I can just say background repeat. So background repeat. Then I can say no repeat. Okay. Then I can go to my Google Chrome. Then I can reload. Okay, you can see just one is showing. Because the length is actually not, or the width is actually not that big, we are getting just the small image at the left hand side. Okay, so that's what we mean by the background. Yeah. Then another parameter we can also look at will be, let's say, the border. Now the border is just the surrounding of the element. Okay, so the surrounding of the element. So let's see. So I can go to here. Then instead of background color, I will just remove this. Then I will just do border. Okay. Now in specifying the border, you have three parameters. So you have the border width. So maybe I want to specify the width of the border, as in the thickness of the border. Can give it a 3 pixels. Then you can, let's say, give it a value of solid. Then you can give it a color. So maybe blue. Okay. So what happened here was that we are giving it a thickness, and we are giving it a solid parameter to actually specify that, okay, this is actually a solid, this is actually a color, a specific color. Then here is actually let's say the blue, as in the color of the border. Okay, I can go here, then reload and see. So I can go here, reload. So you can see the border is actually given a blue background with a thickness of 3 pixels. Okay, so that's what we mean by border. Then we can also specify paddings. Okay, so I think paddings is what we looked at here. So yeah, paddings. Okay, so paddings is like margins, like as in the values. So we can just specify it on one line. So padding, then I can say that from the top, I'll go with let's say 50 pixels. From the 50 pixels. From the right, I'll go with a 0 pixel. From the bottom, 60 pixels and 50 pixels, and from the left, I'll go with let's say a 60 pixels. So it's clockwise. So top, then the right, then the bottom, then the left. Okay, so let's look at it again. So reload. So you can see it's actually spaced out. So the content from the top here to the border, from the top of the element to the border, is actually specified, and same applies to the rest. Okay, now we can also specify it in a one line, like each padding direction basis. So like as we did for the margins, we can do padding left. So you can see padding left, top, bottom, and right. Okay, that's what we mean. Okay, now that's fine for the box model. And in our next video, we'll be looking at, let's say, the background, let's say, stuffs into details. Okay, then we move on to positioning and layout. Okay, so just stay tuned, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. Thank you.